Jim, just to be clear, I do believe you, and that it's on the desk or there's been written about. So, but it is interesting, and I feel like, you tell me, but I feel like years ago, I don't think you were a big crypto fan, were you? And I'm not saying you're a fan, you're just like looking at what's going on and where it's going to go. I mean, we can always,
Yeah,
you have to take
when
emotion out.
you do, and but when Scott Bissett, the new or the new Treasury Secretary, he worked for Soros. He was there when they attacked the gold in London. He's an economic historian who teaches at Yale, and he sits there and says we're going to negotiate a new Bretton Woods system, and digital currencies are going to be at the center of it. You pay attention.
Hmm.
You pay attention to those types of things, and when people that don't like each other, like Mr. Ryan and Mr. Trump, kind of coalesce around a topic, as investors, we better pay attention. That's all I'm really saying.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. So, Jim, two things. One, how do you, I think a lot of Canadian investors don't have necessarily a lot of US dollars. How do you invest in the US for them?
Well, the easiest way is I think the TSX right now has U.S. listings listed on the TSX where you can basically buy a U.S. stock listed, on the TSX that's denominated in Canadian dollars. That's the first way. Second way is to buy
Okay.
yourself a good ETF. I like covered call strategies as well. And there's a lot of ways of doing it. What's really funny about being back home, Catherine, is everybody's a currency trader up here, right? You know what I mean? Everybody wants to know and look at it. My view on the Canadian dollar is until we get a substantial runway going on with the new industrial policy, or we're going to trade somewhere between 70 and 75 cents. And all the actions
Hmm.
in the United States. I really do think, Catherine, we're going back to the 1990s. I really feel as though it's going to be that type of a trade where the only game in town for the next couple of years is going to be the United States, and it's going to be AI, it's going to be innovation, they're going to be deregulating, so banks are going to be really
Hmm.
good. You've got demographics, so you got a housing, you got migration, so housing stocks work. Everything is working in the United States, and then I think around the Western world we've got a lot of problems. Europe is going to be has a lot of problems, and so does Canada.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we see a lot of weakness in Europe, no doubt about that. We do have an opportunity here in Canada to change policies and to actually implement economic friendly, capital friendly, industrial policies here. To your point, it hasn't been done in so long. And so it's a huge opportunity. With that said, what areas within the Canadian economy would you like to see more emphasis?
Well, I mean, it's easy, right? You can buy the uranium stocks, right? So that's really good. I think pipelines work. I think Danielle Smith is a superstar in terms of the premier out of Alberta. So I love what she's doing.
Yes.
So, pipelines, I think oil services will be okay. I do think the
Hmm.
Canadian banks will be fine. And I think the perverse thing about this, Catherine, until we get an industrial policy, I think we're going to have to make a deal with the devil and get interest rates down low enough to get the real estate market going up here. I think that's the only way out that
Do
we've got
you?
any economic growth. I think that's the only solution. I think interest rates got to go below 2% in Canada. We got to make a deal with the devil.
That's
So
a
banks should be
that's
okay.
Well, how badly do you think the real estate market is right now to make you say that? I mean, you must view it very, very poorly.
I think it's going to be, living in the United States and being moved around a lot. Uh, you know, uh, I think it's location, location, location. I think there's going to, if you're in the right location and you've got a good property in a desirable area, you're going to be fine. I have, out in Lorne Park, I have a property, and properties moving and prices aren't declining, but that's a very exclusive neighborhood. But these
Mm-hmm.
other things where you've got a very small studio apartment, I don't know if that's not going to have some big problems, right? And I'm not saying,
Mm-hmm.
developers aren't going to have a big problem, but I would say to you, if we're solving this backwards, what else do we have? But real estate. I mean, that's all we've got. What are we going to do?
Energy. We got an
Well, that
energy
takes well that
sector.
way we have to wait for Mr. Polyev to get in power, right?
Yeah. Right. So you're seeing between now and then. Jim, we got to leave it there. Great to see you. Thank you as always.
Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, Catherine.
Thank you, you as well. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on The Buck Stops Here.